Trump supporters are congregating in Erie, Pennsylvania, and they are speaking out about why they are Trump supporters.
Well, I like Trump as a person. I know some really good friends of his, and he's for the American people, like he said. And I think most importantly, I like his lower taxes and his Christian values that he stands for the unborn and all that. So he's just all around a better choice for anybody else that I've seen in history of when I'm alive. So
some of the highlights: Trump is apparently not in it for himself, according to one woman who believes that we need to make America great again, whatever that very vague slogan means to her.
These other people, these on both sides, they're in it for themselves, for their pocketbooks, for their power. Trump isn't one of them. Yeah, does he have a very, very large mouth? Yes, he does. But you know what? It's what it is. It's black and white. You don't like him, you don't like him. But don't persecute him for his opinions. Don't persecute me for my opinions. Don't persecute these children for their opinions. Make America great again.
Another woman believes Trump will end China and clean up the mess we're in. Of course, there's a man who wants to end voter fraud, and a different man claims to have seen evidence of voter fraud firsthand, over 1 million duplicated voter rolls in New York State. He has the proof, he's seen the algorithms.
What are you hoping to hear today from President Trump?
That he's going to make America great again and end China. Put an end to it.
What's the number one issue that when you go to the polls in November, you're going to be voting for?
The number one issue, I want Trump back in the office so that he can clean up the mess we're in.
Voter, he belongs back there, and voter fraud, and the voter fraud.
You're supporting Donald Trump?
Well, in my case, I'm in it because I got into the audit in New York State. I've seen a lot of things that you're not supposed to see when you're auditing an election.
Okay, tell us, what was your role and what were you guys auditing?
Well, I'm the lead in Cattaraugus County, but we're leading the voter rolls in New York State. We found a lot of duplicated voter rolls.
No.
Yeah, well, over 1 million.
1 million? Okay, so this is really important because a lot of people don't understand the importance of voter rolls and why they need to be clean. You know, we've heard a lot of people talk about ballot stuffing or ballot trafficking, like the 2,000 mules thing. You can't do that. You can't just add ballots into the tally unless you have corrupted voter rolls, because those ballots have to be assigned to a voter, but at least someone on the roll.
Well, so created a savings account of extra voters that they can use at their will.
Right.
And they are doing that. We have the proof. We found the double voting. We've seen the algorithms.
Now, both of those are bold claims, especially coming from some random guy in Erie, Pennsylvania. Where's the proof that he says he's seen? Who even is this guy? He said he got into the audit in New York State and found evidence of double voting, evidence that really would have been helpful to Trump and his team as they were making their rounds, making claims of voter fraud without producing any supporting evidence. I feel like Trump's legal team would have made a real effort to get their hands on the evidence that this man says he's seen. I feel like this wouldn't have been the first time that I'm hearing about millions of duplications if these duplications were actually credible and if they were actually real. And I don't buy the whole angle that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about them.
The fake media is trying to silence us.
No, there's a reason why only people who exclusively follow right-wing media sources know about any of these things, because they're not real, they're not credibly sourced, and they're unproven. Ergo, there's not actually anything to report on apart from these people think this is happening despite there being no evidence to support their belief. And at that point, you may as well report on every flat earther and every forecasted rapture and every boomer that voluntarily drinks bleach and not water, because the fluoride that the government puts in the water calcifies your pineal gland, which is in the middle of your head, also known as your third eye, and it blocks your connection to the spiritual realm and to Jesus himself. You see, the government doesn't want your third eye open because once it's open, you are truly awakened. Not woke, awakened. But look, if this guy has evidence that he can produce, I'm sure we would all love to see it. Voter fraud isn't good. even if it benefits the side that we would like for it to benefit. I don't think anyone actually wants voter fraud in this country, so sure, let's see it, random guy in Erie, Pennsylvania. To the woman who believes Trump will end China, what exactly does that mean? Cripple the empire? Topple the regime? I guess what I really want to know is, what does she mean when she says that? What does she understand about the situation with China, and how would she like to see it remedied? Now, to be fair, recognizing and understanding a problem is one thing, offering a solution to the problem is another. Perhaps she doesn't have any idea what can be done about China, but she believes that Trump and maybe his cabinet are better positioned to come up with a solution. Fine. But I would love for a Trump supporter at a rally like this one, who says things like Trump is going to end China, to explain to me what they think China is actually doing. And for the record, I'm not saying that China isn't doing things that we as Americans would rather them not do. I just want to understand the depth of this woman's understanding of an issue that she is basing her entire presidential vote on. And then I would like to know why she thinks Trump will be the one to fix it, despite him literally telling his supporters that he alone can fix their problems. So it's good to take a pulse every now and then to see what people are saying and thinking and feeling, and it's good to know the kind of people that you're sharing a country with. However, it's important to remember that videos like this one are concentrated incidents of ardent behavior. Most Trump voters, I would venture, are not this bad. But I will say, from my own personal experience with Trump supporters, some of them might be a little further down the rabbit hole than maybe even they realize. They don't necessarily identify with the people in these videos, but some of the things they say in casual conversation aren't too far off. Children have lost their parents to QAnon. People have lost their spouses that they've been with for years to QAnon. Siblings avoid one another. It's devastating to see people they love fall into unbridled, uninformed, and worst of all, hateful thinking. I don't know what the way out of this is, but it is a little concerning how easy it is to fall down a hole without even knowing you're falling. I've been hearing about that thing with the pineal gland for years, way before Trump was president, way before QAnon was ever a thing. It's been appropriated by this group, taken from more esoteric or yogic or crunchy communities to perpetuate this idea that the government is trying to keep us all down. The irony is that the government in many ways is trying to subdue the populace. If they could only redirect their opposition to a more realistic and grounded place, we'd be in a better place as a country. We'd certainly be less divided. Now, the gateway to all of this is fear. We know that. I think we all know that. The way I choose to deal with fear in my own life is through education. The more I understand something, the less I'm afraid of it. When I first moved to Texas, when I was 12 years old, the weather was terrifying. We had tornadoes and hurricanes, none of which were a problem for me when I was living in Connecticut. It seemed like every time it rained, there was like a tornado warning or a tornado watch to go along with it. It was very stressful. So I became a weather junkie. I learned so much about the weather. I still know so much about the weather, but almost immediately it all became demystified. I learned what I could and could not control, and I learned how to be prepared for weather emergencies. I learned what signs to look for in the sky when adverse weather was on the horizon. It grounded me and it protected my sanity at a time when I was already dealing with the overall culture shock of now living in Texas. Let's be honest, 20 years later, I think I'm still dealing with that culture shock. It seems that these MAGA people have also attempted to take that route, but somewhere along the way they got lost. Their journey got hijacked by adversarial forces and they became complacent, no longer questioning things that they should have been questioning and trusting their chosen pundits to tell them how to think and how to feel. And I hope none of you do that with these videos. Question everything. We will all be better for it. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe to the channel and be sure to follow me on all the socials. Thanks.